This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe, and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and making sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be on technology and all. Am I there? Can you hear me okay? I hope so. It is July, and one of the things that I've always wanted to go to is Comic-Con. It's in San Diego. It just started today. They get to hear all the latest and greatest of all the stuff that's coming up, anything sci-fi and superhero and general fabulousness of projects. So I hope everyone out there has a fabulous, fun time, and I look forward to seeing all the posts online, and just know that I'm very jealous, but not in a bad way. So everybody have fun. And then also on Sunday, it's National Tequila Day, which I find interesting that it falls on the last day of Comic-Con. So maybe it's a big celebratory thing, finishing all that up. So everybody, if you do partake in National Tequila Day, please be responsible. And, drink a lot of water, because you can get awfully hungover with that. So I've heard. But if you're not going to Comic-Con and you're not going to celebrate, or you may celebrate National Tequila Day, I have a book you need to be reading, and I have the author here to talk about it. So I have best-selling author Barbara Ankrum. She writes both contemporary and historical romances set in the West, where she has spent much of her life. After a successful career as a commercial actress, she turned her creative energies to writing the stories she loves to read. Her emotional, character-driven books have been twice nominated for the RWA prestigious Rita Awards, won numerous Romantic Times Awards, and she was thrilled to have her contemporary Christmas book, Holiday Hearts, adapted into a highly rated 2019 Hallmark movie and mysteries on the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel. With two grown children, a husband who still, after all these years, supports her writing and has learned to cook for himself while Barbara's on deadline. They recently moved to Texas, in my neck of the woods, whose prairies and big skies are inspiring all new kinds of stories. You can visit her at her website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tule Publications, as she is a Tule author. Her latest book, Calling All Angels, is out now. It is the third book of the Guardian Angels Chronicles. How are you today, Barbara?
Hi, I'm great. How are you, Patricia?
I'm good. So are you in North Texas?
I am. I'm kind of in the Fort Worth, Dallas area.
We're a
little ways apart, considering Texas is so gigantic, but I'm not that far from you.
It's funny. People go in Texas like, oh, it's only a 5-hour drive. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like people, I've been places like, what do you mean 5 hours? I could be like to 8 states in 5 hours. Like, well, you can't get out of Texas in 5 hours. I can tell you that.
I'm from California, really, originally, and California, you can't go anywhere, for less than that. So, I'm kind of used to that drive. California is so gigantic too. You could be in California for a very long time driving.
Oh, so, yeah, if you're going north-south, for sure. Yeah, you're going to be driving a while. But it's beautiful coastline and beautiful mountains. That's
it is.
I've always been fascinated by that. Like, you could be on the beach on one day, and then 2 days, the next day you could be up in the mountains skiing. It's crazy.
Well, you can actually be in both places in the same day. In LA, I mean, you can have both at once, really.
Wow.
So, which we did several times. Yeah. Pretty beautiful there. I do kind of miss it, actually.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, there's no beach quite like a California beach. All beaches are great, but everyone has their own charm. But it's just different, and it's cold. I know that for sure.
It's way colder than Florida, say, but it's so pretty there, and California is just a place of its own. It just really can't compare it to anywhere else. No, that is true. So now you've got another ginormous state that you can't compare to anything else either. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I really lived in California most of my life. I mean, I didn't grow up there, but I moved there once I grew up, and I lived there for many years. And we just moved, about 6 years ago. We went to Kansas to follow my grandkids around, and and then they moved down here to Texas. So here we are. So we're just following our grandkids.
It's always an adventure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always an adventure.
It's nice to be able to do that. It's funny, you were talking about Comic-Cons too, and I don't know if you know this, you probably don't, but my husband does Comic-Cons a lot because he was an actor for many years, and he was in the original first Star Wars movie. He was the voice of Wedge Antilles.
Oh wow!
And so he does. Yeah, he does Comic-Cons too. He goes to signings, and he did the voiceover for the actor who was. No, he's not there now. Not this time. Okay. But he does a lot of Comic-Cons, different places, and he's done that one before. But yeah, he did the voice of Wedge Antilles because the guy who was playing him, who was actually Ewan McGregor's uncle, I think, had a very heavy Scottish brogue, and they wanted an American voice for it. So so that's him when you hear him. Anyway,
that's interesting that you say that because I literally, and I am not lying, I was scrolling through Instagram because I was looking at I was signing up for your Instagram, and there was a thing about Star Wars, and it talked about the original voice David Prowse did for Darth Vader, and then they have James Earl Jones, and talked about how George Lucas wanted a deeper, voice for Darth Vader. So it's fascinating because I remember when people were like, "Hey, this James Earl Jones, is he in the suit?"
I know. He was super specific about what he really wanted, and I mean, it was kind of a low budget. Nobody knew what it was going to be, even when they were doing it. They weren't sure if it was going to be just a low budget kind of weird space movie, but well, as it turned out, it was a big deal.
Yes,
but
it has
really
its own bubble.
Yeah.
It is the only movie that I can recall as a child and even as an adult that my father stood in line to see. My dad is an incredibly impatient guy. But he stood in line with me and my brother. We were like 8 and 3 or something. And an hour, he stood in line for an hour to see Star Wars.
Wow.
It was, I've never seen anything like it. But
it was a thing.
He'd want to. It was crazy.
It was a thing.
But when the second one came out, he didn't want to stand in line that time, so we drove like 30 minutes we were in Houston. We drove to Sugar Land, which was like way the hell out there. Back then, it's like driving by fields of fields of fields. And we went to a theater out there, so we didn't have to wait in line. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's a fun thing for him to have done, and to talk about, and he loves that. And he did a lot of other acting jobs too, but that was just kind of one that people really loved. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, it's always fun to hear that. But so if with him being an actor, you were kind of used to seeing how movie sets or things went. So when your book got picked up, you were kind of familiar with how the format was.
Well, I was an actor too.
A lot of
I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, that's right.
I was an actress for years myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did commercials in LA for a long time, which worked out perfectly for me because I was a mom. I was a young mom, and commercials are quick, and they don't have to travel mostly. And I did that for a long time. So I was kind of familiar with. I wasn't on movie sets per se. He did that more than I did. I was on TV commercial sets, which are similar but not really. But being on the movie set of your own book, that was a whole kind of mind-bending experience. It was so fun. They were shooting it up in Vancouver. In Vancouver.
Okay.
And it was at this beautiful little park called Stanley Park up in, if you've ever been to Vancouver, it's a pretty famous little place on the island and, or on the peninsula, I guess. And, so there I was, like, getting introduced to these actors who had name tags on that were characters that I had named. And they had chairs with their names on them, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is just blowing my mind. Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. And they changed a lot of the story. I mean, they did it.
Sure.
They did a great job with it. But, it always happens when you turn a book into a film that you have to lose certain things that are not, really cinematic or, inner thought kind of stuff doesn't exist. They have to change a few things. little conflict stuff.
Right,
you
and
know,
shorten certain scenes. Right.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah. So, but you know, I always have my book. It's my book. If you want to read the book and see the original story, you can read the book. But yeah, it was a great experience and really fun, and just getting to meet Ashley Williams and Paul Campbell, and I mean, I see them on Hallmark, right? And I'm like, oh my God, it was fun.
Yeah,
they're very nice. Yeah,
it's one of those moments that you just are looking. You probably sat there looking around, going, "Is this really happening? Like, is this truly occurring in my life?"
It was a pinch me moment for sure. Yeah, it was so funny. And then I was flying home on a plane, and I was sitting next to this girl, and we were just chatting, you know, on the plane, and she's saying, "Oh, well, I was taking this bus tour up in Stanley Park, and we passed a movie set. It was so exciting." I'm like, "That was my movie." It was just, you know, it's kind of like seeing somebody on a plane who's reading your book. I'm like, "That was my movie."
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
It was fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
what was the biggest thing that surprised you about it? I mean, because you've got experience as an actress, and you know, generally behind the scenes type stuff. But what was something that surprised you?
Well, you know, I guess it was the fact that they had changed, you know, certain things about my book. I mean, I'm not precious with it because, you know, I sold it to them. I sold them the book, you know, and they did what they wanted to with it. But things about it that I didn't even really see until I actually saw the film in the end, you know, that I was there for 2 days in Vancouver. So I got to see, the big Christmas scene, you know, with the big party scene that I had written, which was, I have to tell you, just so crazy. And I walked into the room and I'm like, this is exactly what I pictured when I wrote it. And she was the producer was very happy. Shelley Hack was the producer on it. And Shelley Hack was the Charlie girl. I don't know if you remember back in, you don't, you're too young.
She was Charlie girl,
but back
and she
in
was on Charlie's Angels. Like, she was Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
She was like season 4 or 5, you know, something like that. I remember her. Yeah.
Yeah, she replaced me. But she was the producer on it. She's the one that bought the book and you know, optioned it and everything. And I got to meet her, which was super fun. She's a very interesting person and way more interesting than you'd even imagine. And so working with her, and, you know, at one point she's like, "Oh, I think we need a filler scene. What do you think? And let's sit down and, you know, brainstorm about it." And I'm like, "Really?" And we did, you know, and, you know, it ended up being a scene that I did kind of help her with. But anyway, that was really surprising and fun that she let me be part of that. So, but it was, you know, it was like she was very protective of the actors, and she had a rule about not wanting to take pictures with them. And I'm like, because I really want to take pictures with them. And they finally did let me take a couple. So that was fun.
Sure.
But,
oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, so it was an amazing experience. And then I optioned another book, which has been in development now for like a couple of years because of COVID.
Right.
Every Time a Bell Rings, which is the first book in the series, the Angel series. And I'm still not sure if it's going to get made. You know, it's just a crazy time in Hollywood, and who knows. But yeah, so that's going to be exciting if that happens, because I can't really talk about who did it, but if it happens, it's going to be very exciting. So there's that.
And so for anybody who's not sure what it means, for anybody who's not sure what it means to be optioned, it means someone comes to you and says, "Okay, I would like to do something with your book. I'd like to make a TV movie or a film or what have you, but I will give you this amount of money that you can't let anyone else have that option of doing anything with it for this period of time," whatever's in the contract. And then if that period of time lapses, but they're still interested, they pay, you know, they keep it in their file, and they're like, "Okay, so we want some more time." And so that's how it works. But then I know that a lot of times options can sit there for a long time, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything happens. Like 6 weeks later, you're even done with filming. Like, everything's done.
Right.
It's just a crazy
particularly
timeline.
with Hallmark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think with the Christmas movie that I did with Hallmark, I think I was notified on August 1st or so that it was greenlit. And greenlit means that they've gotten the money for it. It's going to go into production. They're hiring actors. They're, you know, getting locations. And that takes about a month or so, or maybe a month and a half for them to get that all set up.
Yeah.
And then I went to Vancouver at the end of September, beginning of October. So, I mean, it was literally 6 weeks later, I was on the set. A month later, they were done. So, yeah, it's very fast with Hallmark. It's not true for all film. You know, that's very fast for, you know, for filmmaking. But they've got it down to a science. They know everything. They've got it all set. They've got crews set, you know. And if you notice, a lot of times you'll see the same actors. They've got like a pool of actors up in Vancouver that do a lot of the secondary parts in a lot of the films. So they've got a great, strong pool of secondary actors up there. And then they bring in stars to do the main character parts. But yeah, so it is a pretty fast timeline. And I mean, as far as options go, yeah, I mean, this next book that I option, I'm already on the second year of the option, so they had to re-up the option. And now at the end of this option, they don't really have an option to re-up it. After that, I get the rights back unless I want to let them re-option it if they want to. So we'll see. I don't know how Hollywood just goes at a very very slowly.
Right. It's its own timeline.
You have to be patient.
It's just Yes. Did you have a cameo?
I did not. No, in the first one, no. I kind of wished I could have, but it was a weird thing. I didn't want to ask, and if they'd invited me to, I certainly would have been happy to do it. You know. But you know, you never know. Maybe the next one. We'll see. If there is a next one, yeah. I know when Terry Wilson had gotten hers for Unleashing Mr. Darcy, she was texting us. Oh, yeah.
And it was funny because they just said, hey, do you want to be in it? Like they walked, like you're saying. They just walked up and said, hey, do you want to be in it? Because we need someone to just walk by the background. Yeah. And so they just kind of threw her in there with what she was wearing, but she was way in the back. Yeah. And so when she walked by, we all screamed, you know, it's like, I know she is. She is. She's always got it. She's always adorable, and so she fit right in. I remember seeing her little walk on there too. I saw her in it too. It was very cute. Yeah. So it was fun. She's always wearing these gorgeous little dresses. I know. Yeah. No, I wish I could have, but. Well, I hope you were in the next one because I will yell when I see you in there. So for sure. Thank you. So let's go back to the Guardian Angel Chronicles because you're talking about this first book, Every Time a Bell Rings, but your newest book, Calling All Angels, is the third of the series. Tell us about the series and then this new release. Okay, well, so I'll just tell you about the instigation of it, I think, really mostly. It came about during the pandemic for me. And, you know, pandemic's been going on for a little while now, but I was I think I was watching the news, right? And I was seeing the world had kind of stopped. You know, the world had just kind of ground to a halt. And there were animals wandering the streets. You know, there were like wild animals in neighborhoods and no people. And I just thought, oh, my God, this is crazy. You know, like, how can this be? You'd see freeways that were empty that were never, ever empty, you know. And I don't know why. Number one, it sparked a feeling in me because I knew I was feeling it real strongly that I missed people so much. You know, I missed talking to people and being with people. And even though Zoom was happening, it's not the same as physically being with them, you know. And I just started thinking, you know, I missed I missed the connectivity. I missed touching, you know, all the things that you do in your life. You know, you smell the world and you touch it. And it just made me wonder, you know, if, I don't know why I came up with this idea. And it made me think of angels and thinking, because I kind of believe in the other side, you know, and I wondered if maybe that's how they felt, you know, that they missed all that visceral stuff that goes on in our world, you know, that they're kind of beyond that, you know, and do they miss it? Do they wish they could, you know, kind of be in it again? And that kind of inspired that first story, you know, where this angel is sent down to mingle kind of with people before she's sent on to a different job. And I just loved that idea of angels among us that we don't know are angels, you know. And I sort of felt like maybe that's very true, you know, kind of in our world, that there are people who we
often, that just come in and out of our lives, and they touch us, and they're traveling angels kind of, they change us, and they do things that make our lives different. And then they're gone. And we never see them again. Like, what happened? Where are they? And so that was what kind of inspired this whole idea of the series. And it kind of progressed from that simple idea of, this angel coming down and mingling with us. And then in the next one, it was kind of a more intentional coming together, because it was something that this angel was coming down to fix, a problem that had happened, a mistake that had happened. And she needed to fix this family. Only she ended up, of course, falling in love with the family, which was a big no-no. And then this last book was, I wanted to make the angel a guy. I wanted the man to be the angel this time. And so I don't even know where this came from, but it's funny because sometimes you'll write books and you really have them all plotted out ahead of time, and you'll know kind of where it's going. And this one was not quite like that. This one came to me kind of as a scene, as a first scene of this girl who had been in a car accident, and she's wandering around her accident scene, thinking that she had just come upon this accident and didn't realize that it was actually her in this accident. And then there's this. Okay. Yeah. So she's actually in a coma for this whole book, or for most of this book. But she's not.
What a challenge.
She's on the other side. She's sort of like in the in-between in this story. Yeah. So she's got a guardian angel who shows up, who is supposed to help her through this whole situation and get her, to where she needs to go. And it turns into something else. It doesn't go the way he thought it was going to go. And plus there's this long soulmate history between them that he's not happy about. So there's a mystery, and there's that part of it. But there's also the idea that, if you get a second chance in your life, what are you going to do with it? If you can understand at some point in your life that you haven't done the thing that you're supposed to do, if you get a second chance, what do you do with it? So, so there was a lot of, my own philosophy things, tied in there, I guess. But I loved writing this book, and it seemed like an exclamation point on this whole series for me. But I may write another one.
It sounds very soulful. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's almost healing, very cathartic, to be able to write something like that. And what a challenge to write that your main character's in a coma. I know. Oh yeah, one of my characters is in a coma and you're like, what? Yeah, I can only imagine you pitching it, So this is the story, but my main character's in a coma.
Can I just tell you that they really weren't sure about this story? They were like, I don't know. And my editor's like, wait, yes, she can do it. You have to let her try this. It's going to be so good. And so Sinclair Sonny, who's my editor, just really for it and helped me get it, done. So I was very grateful to her. She's the best. I just love her. And so
she definitely knows how to pull those threads through.
She does. She's so good. She's so good at it. And interestingly, I've been editing for Thule now for a little while too, for some of the authors there. And I'm going to be editing Sinclair's next series, which is weird. We're going to be trading off. I said, just pretend we're in a critique group, Sinclair. And so I'm excited to do that. But I just love her so much. She's so great. But I was lucky they let me do it. It is weird.
Yeah. But it is a good point to make, because for anybody out there who, I know a lot of people said, during COVID and they were home and we're working from home, what have you, and it's like, I've always wanted to write a book. Maybe I'll do that. Understand that it's essential that you have critique partners, because you may think you're the most brilliant writer ever, as well as your mom, your grandma, and your next door neighbor. But you really need somebody who's going to be very honest with you, because if you start putting stuff out there that's not good, readers are not gracious about it. They are just not.
No.
So, yeah, you want to put the best
important.
product out there you can.
Oh, yeah. It's also really important to know who your critique partners are. I mean, like, not just your best friends who are going to be kind to you, but also other writers who understand what you're doing. And understand how to critique, because critique can be pretty brutal too if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. I've been a teacher for many, many years, like since the beginning of the 2000s, basically. I used to teach at UCLA Extension in the writers program. And I had to teach a lot of writers how to critique because not everybody really does it well. And you can really hurt somebody, damage somebody's, if you're not careful and honest. And honest. So it's a tricky thing. But I definitely agree. I mean,
and
it helps so much.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I remember one specific thing I sent out to my critique partners one time. We were all trading pages. There's a whole group of us, and it was kind of randomly assigned to who you got because there was enough of us in the school that week that And I got these two different. I sent it out, and I got. One person said, I absolutely hated this, throw it away. I don't know what you're writing. This is awful. This is not usually the stuff you write, like the quality. And so I was like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is terrible. And then I got the other critique, and it was a complete 180. You've really just put these characters in a tremendously stressful situation right from the start. I want to know what happened. It was just like, I didn't even know what to do with that afterwards. Yeah.
And it's never helpful to write that kind of a critique, honestly. It's like, I hate this, throw it away, never pick up a pen again. I mean, that's not helpful. Yeah. Constructive criticism is a whole different thing. And so, I really encourage people, if they're looking for critique partners, to really know who they are and to really agree ahead of time, like when you're critiquing each other, that you're going to be supportive and you're going to write constructive criticism, that you're not going to try to tear each other down, because writers are fragile, they really are.
Right.
We are.
And we like to think we're not, but we are.
No, we don't have as thick skin as people would think. We're just people. We're just human, and especially new writers when they're starting it's important. Yes.
Well, and two, it's like we all do this, and I'm sure you've done it. It's like you finish your book, and you're so excited, and you're like, oh, my gosh, this is just, I can't believe this is amazing. And the moment you hit send, I don't know if you do this, but my stomach just twists. I'm like, I just sent the biggest piece of crap ever. And, it's never that. But, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, what am I doing with my life?
Oh, I know. I always keep doing this? Oh, my gosh, I know. I always hit that point in a book, like, what was I thinking? Like, where is my conflict? Oh, my God, the middle, what is happening? I always think that, even though maybe it's not true. I mean, I guess it's a good thing to think that because it makes you really concentrate on making it better. But the other thing I learned really early on in my writing career is, like, you can always make it better. You could always change something, but you eventually have to let it go from your fingertips. You have to eventually let it, push the send button and get it out there. I mean, I have many books out there, and if I go back and look at my early books, there's a lot of things that I would probably change if I was going to go back and revise them. But at the time, they were the best that I could do, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's the best you can do it. And if you're with an editor, they'll help you, try to fix things that are maybe lacking, which is why it's great to have a good editor. Everybody should have their work edited professionally before they send it out into the world. Yeah. I truly believe that, but it's expensive and it's a lot, it's hard. Writing is not easy.
It is.
But
yes.
Yeah.
And you have to also accept the fact that what you write may be really good, but it may not be what someone likes. It just may not be their thing, and that's okay.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure even this book, maybe won't align with somebody's philosophy, and they go, I'm not reading that. And I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not. I mean, it's meant for whoever wants to read it and whoever needs to read it. And I'm okay with that.
I was reading a thread one time about people posting about 1-star reviews, And it's funny because there was these authors saying, oh, if the 1-star review is because too much sex, I'm buying that book. And so it was funny because a friend of mine got like this scathing 1-star review and just talked about there was too much, nudity or whatever, graphic sex. So she used it as one of her ads, like on Facebook. So she took it and put big graphics. And she's like, 1-star review, too much sex, don't buy this book. She said she sold so many of these books.
Oh, how
it
funny.
Was just unhinged. Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny what people like and what they don't like. It's just, but you can't please everybody.
Well, I mean, let's just face it. Our country, our world right now is so, juxtaposed to each other. It's like there's either black or white, and there's no in between. And so you're not going to please everybody. You're just not. It's going to offend somebody or it's going to you're going to push somebody's button that you didn't realize you were pushing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's definitely happened to me with themes and stuff that I've written about. I don't know. It's okay. I can deal with it. But yeah, I mean, I don't like getting 1-star reviews, and I don't get them too often. But every once in a while, I will, and I'll just take them in stride. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I just quit reading them.
I'll buy another book.
I just quit reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah.
My mom will poke in every once in a while and read the reviews. And she's like, yeah, everything's good. And then every once in a while, she'll like, oh my God, I can't believe, I'm like, I don't want to know. I just don't want to see it. So all good.
I know. Well, I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing you can do at this point. The book is out there, it's done, and it's like next. So. Yeah, you got to move on to the next thing, for sure. For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of the next thing, what is coming after you finish this? You got these 3 books. You've mentioned you might write another, but I mean, do you have another project brewing?
Well, to be honest, I've not started my next book yet, just because I have been moving this past year. I moved twice.
Sure.
Which is crazy. I mean, we had to move a lot. We're living in an apartment here because we hadn't decided yet whether we were going to buy to make sure our kids were going to stay in one place finally. And before we were able to do that, our apartment complex was like renovating all the apartments. So they forced us out of one apartment and into another one that was already renovated. And like literally a month later, we found a house. So 2 months later, we moved in, and we have been renovating here, and redoing all of our stuff. And it's just been a crazy, very stressful couple months. And so I do have another series that I'm going to do for Thule. It's going to be another Cowboy series. It's going to be sort of in the vein of my Canada's series, I think, which was my first one for Thule. And I really love Marietta. So, yeah, I'll probably be back in Marietta for a little while.
Okay.
So that's coming up.
Make sure when you go to Fort Worth, they have Cowtown down there. But you also they have the Longhorn drive. They have the steer that they drive the cattle, and I think I have it in February or March. But you might.
I don't know. I think I've seen it. I've been there. I've seen it, and I think it's like all the time. I hope it's all the time because we're going to take friends there to see it when they come out to visit us from California. So, yeah, that's pretty fun.
Taking the cows, So it's definitely a different vibe. My husband and I met when we were each living in Dallas, and then we were over in Fort Worth. I think we went to the museum, and then we were standing in line for the movies. And there are these teens behind us going, there's nothing to do here. And I'm just thinking, really?
Really?
Like one of the biggest, the DFW Metroplex. Really? But okay.
Oh, I know. I know. It's so fun down there.
Yeah. But, I mean, it could have been something he'd seen 5,000 times. It was like, okay. But I get it.
Yeah.
Fine.
But there's tons to do there, right there in Old Town. I know.
There is. So you've got, what about Cowboys? Because you've got a lot of books with the Cowboy theme in it. What about that inspires you to write?
Like what started all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up in New York State, so I didn't grow up in the West. But my father was like a city cowboy. He thought he wanted to be a cowboy. I mean, in his deepest, darkest soul. And he would take me to all the movies. all the Westerns, the John Wayne movies. My favorite was How the West Was Won.
Mm-hmm.
How the West Was Won, which was like everybody in Hollywood was in that one. And the idea of
amazing music.
Oh gosh, I love that movie. I still love that movie so much. I could watch it again. But something about that pioneer kind of thing, about settling the West. Maybe it's a reincarnation thing. I don't know. But I felt like I really had to tell that story. I really had to do that. And my first book that I ever wrote was a historical about a wagon train going on the Oregon Trail. I just kind of felt like I finished what I maybe had started, at some point. And, I just loved telling that story. And I just stayed in the West. I loved the idea of the West. And because I didn't live there until I was 25 or so, I think, I was fascinated with it. So I was always in the library doing research, and just learning all about the Native Americans and the West settling and all the things. And I literally have this encyclopedic knowledge of all that time period, like between the Oregon Trail and post-Civil War. Kind of that was where so I knew all that stuff because I'd really studied it a lot and had tons of research books on it. So I just stayed in that time period for a long time. I mean, I love other time periods too. I would love to write Regency sometime, but I don't have any of that, experience, that research, to do it.
That takes a lot of research for sure.
Yeah, but actually, so the angel in my last book, he's actually Scottish. He was a Scottish aristocrat 200 years ago. And so I got to use a little bit of that, in this book. He's got the Scottish brogue and everything in this book, which I loved. And so I got a little taste of that in that book, even though I will never write one of those Scottish Highland books, which I also love. So, but I just love the West. I lived there for a long time. And I really think it's a kind of a misunderstood, that cowboy lifestyle is kind of misunderstood, and the independence of it I just loved, and I don't know, I just relate to it somehow.
And it's interesting too, because there's a lot of, I don't know if you look like at the 2020 there's all sorts of threads, but there was a lot of like you're saying, city cowboys, but there's a lot of writing groups and RIDING groups that actually took their horses to vote in Arizona and New Mexico, and then Texas. Houston had a huge one. They came in, and I apologize to the group. It was an all black group, and it is thrilling to see them come in. I mean, people were so excited to watch them come in.
Wow.
They're just strutting right in, and it is interesting because of at least 25% of the cowboys that we talk about, like that time period you're talking about, were black. And
that's right.
So, if anyone, so if you want to go read Beverly Jenkins, if someone's interested, she has a lot of those setups, and she talks a lot about that. And so when you're doing your research, I find it interesting that what we see, like in your movies, and they're amazing movies, but it's like, oh wow, there's this whole other world happening that a lot of us
they're not
represented.
They're not represented
are learning.
They're not represented in older movies at all. And really post-Civil War, that's where a lot of ex-slaves ended up. And they were looking for freedom, and they were looking for independence, and there were some of the cowboys. In fact, I think there's a statue in Fort Worth to one of the best cowboys back in the 30s who was African American. I can't remember his name right now, but there's actually a statue there of him. But yeah, I think in that first book there was an African American character who was like one of my hero's best friends, and I really think that they are definitely underrepresented in literature of the West, for sure.
Right. There's a great article. There's always the rumor that Bass Reeves, who, if anybody doesn't know, was like this amazing gentleman who is a lawman, and he was an ex-slave, and he lived in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Bass Reeves. And there's a rumor that's saying that he was the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. So a lot of people talk about that, but there's a great article in Texas Monthly. It was dated, and I can send you the article, and I can put it in the write-up of the show, just the link for it. But Christian Wallace is the writer, and he wrote an article called "The Resurrection of Bass Reeves," and it talks about his whole this guy actually found people who had seen Bass Reeves. Of course, they were very old at this point, but they were talking about how well he shot, how well he rode, the people he captured. And he was a huge guy, huge. But he had been on a lot of the in Indian territory, so he could go a lot where the Rangers couldn't go, and a lot. So he, they say, captured 3,000 criminals. But it goes back to saying he was so regional that the likelihood of someone knowing who he was and basing Lone Ranger on him is not high. But it's a fascinating story, truly. So, but
he was kind of a lone ranger.
Yeah, it's knowing where to. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in a lot of ways his own. And I would love to see a movie on him, done. He was in a recent one, but it was on Netflix with Regina King. And so, but yeah, I think it's very interesting, the layering of it all, the West, the different kinds of cowboys, even now. And I'm sure that depending on the time period you're writing, if we're in Marietta, it's the rodeo is a little bit different than it is in Texas. The basic is the same, but then you have different terrains and you have different seasons, and you have different. There's a lot of things that change. So yeah, it's fun.
Well, Texas
to read about.
Texas too. In Texas, it was the railroads brought in a lot of cowboys because the Texas steers were moved from Texas up to Kansas, to the railhead.
Yes.
And that's how they got cattle everywhere, in the country. So.
Yeah.
It didn't really start until that happened. There wasn't really a way to ship cattle until they had to drive them, physically up to Montana if they wanted to get them up there, but or down. So just the whole idea of that lifestyle, it's so challenging and so hard, and not just the cowboys, but everybody who lived in the West, everybody who challenged themselves to live in a place that was inhospitable, and a place where they were just creating something, it's you can't find that anymore, and it's just so interesting to imagine,
Yeah, I tell the kids, you do realize people at one point showed up here and said, I'm going to build a house right here. And there's nothing here. There's nothing here. So I'm going to have to live in whatever I've brought until the house is ready.
I know. Can you even imagine?
And they're like, "Wow, no."
or on the prairies, where they built houses out of sod and they lived in these little mud huts, and that was where they lived.
Yeah.
Without anything.
Yeah.
It just blows your mind. I know. Anyway, I do love writing.
The human spirit is quite. Yeah.
Yes.
The human spirit and motivation is quite fascinating. So with Calling All Angels, it makes sense to have this whole kind of cycle of life. Even as the angel comes down, it's okay, let's get rolling, and then things go completely different. So, it's always always interesting to see how stories play.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being
here
today, Barbara. I so appreciate you. Thank you. And so everybody
thank
listening,
you for
I was
having
talking to Barbara Ankrum. Yeah, and she's Calling All Angels. It's her newest release out now. You can visit her at her website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Chule Publications. I have all those links in the write-up of the show. Go out and get that book. And it's the third of the series. So pick all three up and go sit by the pool and stay cool, everyone, because it is ridiculously hot. So everybody, stay safe. Keep on reading. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.